Hello everyone, welcome to this video on Total War Elysium. I am Noob Nathan and I typically stream these games over on my Twitch account, which I will link below. Today we shall be going through the basics of what is Elysium and how it works. So, let's get right into it. Total War Elysium is the upcoming strategy card game from the creators of, you guessed it, the Total War franchise. And historical flair and its unique abilities in general, Elysium attempts to bring a new experience to the genre you may or may not be used to. Before we get into how everything works, you should be aware that this is in early closed beta and things are subject to change. So, to start things off, let's start with how the reserve building works. One thing to note is that the reserves are what most CCGs call your deck. Elysium's deck is where you draw your cards from each turn. There are currently around 232 cards, 3 factions and 4 eras in the beta, with more being added over time. There are also 7 generals, 2 Viking, Guthrum and Lagertha, 2 French Republic, Napoleon and Marie Antoinette, and lastly 3 Free Kingdoms, Cao Cao, Sun Ren and Dongzhua. Each genre can make a deck from its factions cards as well as its eras. Vikings can build its reserves from the medieval era, French Republic can build its reserves from the Empire era, and Free Kingdoms can build its from Ancient era. Lastly, generals can use timeless cards. These are universal cards of Elysium. Your reserves are made of 18 selected cards and 1 unique ability assigned to each general. There are 3 types of cards: units, structures, and events. Units are made of 3 types of cards: melee, range, and flankers. Melee is self-explanatory, you place them on the front line and they can bop anything on the opposing front. Range is split up between 2 types. Short range are only able to shoot over 1 line, so if they are on the back row, then they cannot hit the back row of the enemy. Long range can. Long range units can hit any enemy on the both opposing lanes. Flankers are cards that, when deployed on the front line, can flank around the opposing front line and hit the back row. There are some rules to this, however. They can only hit the outermost units on the back row. Just another nice little flavour that can render an enemy range useless. Up next is structures. Structures are a card that cannot be removed after placement. They generally have high health, low attack, and some have skills of their own. Good for holding the front line and keeping the enemy units distracted, and while you wait for that juicy card or supply you need to pull off a nice combo. Onto the final type of card, events. Event cards are cards that when used they can buff your own units, debuff an enemy unit, or deal damage to them. They're both single target and AoE effect event cards that can be very useful at taking out an enemy line or an annoying unit you just want to render useless or get off the board. Onto the faction abilities currently in the game. Plan is the French Republic's unique ability. If a French card has plan, and if you wait till daybreak, it'll become planned. Once planned, it will start to glow, which means that this card is planned, and then once used, it will activate the ability. Currently there are 8 planned cards in the game, each ranging from different abilities. For example, Calibrated Ordnance deals 3 damage to an enemy. If it's planned, it will also give the player 2 round shots into his hand. There are also a few cards that feed off planned cards. For example, Marshal Ney gains 3 attack for each planned card in the player's hand. Raid is the Viking's unique ability. Whenever any card on the board is damaged, it reduces a card with raid by 1 supply. This is great for dishing out a lot of units and being very aggressive. Does pair nicely with card draws, as you might find you're out of cards when you need them. Currently in game there are 9 raid cards. An example of a raid card is Herdman. This is a 6 cost, 5 attack, 4 defense unit with a shield, but with raid it can be reduced further, so you can get your stronger late game units very early with the use of raid. As to the unique abilities in Mandate, this belongs to the Free Kingdoms generals. What Mandate does is when you place a card with Mandate, then hit an event card, the Mandate skill will activate. There are currently 6 Mandate cards in the game as of this video. One example of how Mandate works is Jade Dragon. When deployed is a 4 attack, 4 defense flanker. If you were to hit it with a buff event card, it would then buff the entire line by 1 attack and 1 defense due to its Mandate ability. Mandate units are perfect for buffing your other units up with more stats or actions. Now, let's get talking about the universal abilities. These are abilities that you'll find across multiple units across Elysium. Daybreak is an ability that only activates when you enter the Daybreak phase. These can range from buffing itself or its allies will return to the player hand and many more. More on Daybreak later. Herald is an ability that when a card with the Herald is played, the skill activates as long as it's possible to do so. Some examples being Varangian Guard can deal damage to an enemy on deployment, Comrade in Arms can buff any allied unit on the board, and Messenger can draw a card from your reserves into your hand. Next up we have Fast Attack. Fast Attack cards are units that can be placed in the moved or attack on the same turn. Very useful for sniping at any unit on the front line, or if it's also a flanker, great for taking out the back line units. Then we have Maneuver. Maneuver cards are units that only activate the ability if they move a line on that turn. These skills can range from card draws, buffing themselves or allies, giving supply, deploying units, or dealing damage to enemies. Examples being the Wonder of Philosopher draws a card every time he moves. Pair it up with Menace, which moves any unit and draws a card, and you'll get double the payout. These units can take a bit more effort to get working, but when you get the abilities going, they can be devastating to the opposing player. Next up we have Camouflage. Camouflage can be activated via event cards or abilities. When a unit is camouflaged, it becomes unable to be attacked by anything but an AoE attack. But be aware, because these are hidden from the enemy, and if your entire front line is camouflaged, the enemies can ignore them and hit your backline units. Camouflage is great at hiding units of value from the enemy. For example, Supply Train. Supply Train draws a supply for you each turn every time you draw a card. It's very valuable, so it's usually focused by the enemy. Lastly, we have Shields and Splash Damage. Both quite self-explanatory. Shields protect your units from one attack from the enemy. A good combo for Shields is Shield Wall and Harsh Justice. Shield Wall does what you expect of a Shield Wall, and that is it fully shields your line of units. If you drop your Harsh Justice on top of this, you'll deal 1 damage for each shield on your friendly units. Not much to say about Splash Damage really. Splash Damage deals both damage to the target and the adjacent units. This is one effective way of killing off camouflage units. Mastering these abilities can be the difference between a loss and a win. At the start of the day, you'll pick your starting 9 cards from your reserves to make up your deck. From that deck, you'll draw your starting hand. Each battle is split into days with 7 turns per day. Each turn you'll gain 1 supply, starting with 1 until you hit 10. Supply is used for deploying your cards on the board, ranging from 0 to 10. At the end of each day, you'll enter Daybreak. Daybreak is where you'll choose 9 more cards from your reserves to add to your deck. Not only that, but it will also activate all Daybreak abilities on the board. To win a battle, you must kill the opposing enemy general. Each general starts as a unit on the board, each with different health, abilities, and attack values. If one general hits 6 health points, it will activate Last Gasp and turn unbreakable for 1 turn. He will also draw 2 cards from the player's deck. Afterwards though, your general will be left vulnerable for the rest of the battle because he will have no more protection. After every battle, you gain a certain amount of experience based on whether you won or lost, which in turn will level you up and unlock you rewards. Level 1 unlocks you Lagertha starter pack, level 3 unlocks you Style Cell starter pack, and level 5 unlocks you Napoleon starter pack, after which the rest of the rewards are gold, battle packs, and gems, which are determined based on your level. On top of the level up rewards, you have in-game achievements that reward you with in-game gems. These in-game gems can be used to buy generals or open epics and legendary battle packs. In turn, will fill up your cards, and then you'll be able to build more decks. Now it's time to be talking about the crafting in the game. Crafting is one of the ways you can get cards for your decks. Currently you can get crafting material for each duplicate card you can get from a battle pack and a set amount from the battle pack you open. These crafting materials can be used to craft any card you want in the game. Prices are based on the rarity of the card. Common costing 50, rare costing 120, epic costing 400, and legendary costing 1000. Utilizing the crafting, you can build a custom deck to your liking. Alrighty, that should be all the basics you need to know about Total War Elysium. If you have yet to get access to the game, you can find the link to the store page below with my other links to my Discord and Twitch channel. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe for more content in the future. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.